What is up, guys? Welcome to a new video. Today we're going to have a look at the best champions in 614 right now. I really like this patch, to be honest. I think it's pretty balanced on the whole, and you can play almost anything and do pretty well with it. But as always, there are a few that stand out as better, who are better for climbing, and those are going to be the ones we're looking at today. This is another video with Paul Min, your weekly reminder the new challenges are up on the site. So if you aren't sure, the site is Riot approved and lets you earn rewards for literally just playing League, either in their customs or in your normal ranked games. The link is down below. You can head over to the challenges, find my name and sign up. We've also added some support ones this time. The tournaments are on the way, and as always, there's a paysafecard to win every time I talk about the site. So throw the video a like if you do, but just leave a comment down below to be entered. Anyway, let's jump into our first role, which is going to be the jungle. By the way, I'm going to spend a little bit less time on the top two so I can talk about a few others as well. I actually think number 2 is going to be Rammus for now. Super weird, kind of popped out of nowhere, but it's kind of like a reaction to the meta. AD carries are getting a lot stronger now, and we're seeing these kind of hyper carries-ish come back a little bit. We've got these top lane carries and carry junglers as well. So he is a good ganker, right? And we know that the early game in Season 6 means a little bit more. He still scales into late game though, and he's hard to kill. Basically, as an AD carry, you need lifesteal and armor pen to deal with him, and with the kind of itemization in Season 6, that's going to be 4 items. He's not really like your typical carry jungler that's been around for a while recently, but it lets your team carry. Even if they are bad, it's not going to be hard to kill a taunted target. I probably shouldn't have said that because I'm sure someone has messed that up at some point, but honestly, you're just really good in an AD focused meta, and there's only really one AP source now on teams, which is going to be the mid laner. First place is still going to be Hecarim though. Even with the nerfs on the PB, I'd expect him to stay here. The thing is, Rammus is this massive tank, right? Hecarim is still tanky, but he kills you as well. Your clear is good. You have a really good map pressure because you're so fast, you can move around a lot. You have good team fight, good ganks. There's not really anything that you can't do. Eventually you'll be able to deal with him if the game goes late enough, but a good Hecarim will take over the game early. Your ganks are hard to escape with so much damage. They're feared to keep them there as well. It's just a lot he can do, and I don't see why you ever wouldn't pick him, to be honest. Anyway, instead of me rambling on about Hecarim, which we probably all know about, let's look at an upcoming pick, which is gonna be Kog'Maw. I know you'll think I'm a little bit biased being an AD carry main, but he's so good right now with Blood Razor. So good, I've actually started to play Smite Cog bot lane. His synergy with items is ridiculous, like the Blood Razor especially. Your W shots apply the percentage health damage even when you're attacking that fast, and it rips through anyone. The bad side is that he's very weak to invades, but that's not so much of a problem this patch, I don't think. Now we're moving towards more passive tanks, I guess, but the good stuff, you have so much damage, you can carry, you get farm in the jungle, and you can turn around lost games. Alright, so let's go to the mid lane next. Vel'Koz is taking our second spot. Maybe not for higher reload especially, but definitely for lower ranks. The meta is shifting to be a bit more passive, as we said, tank junglers, mage mids, both are less pressure, meaning you can actually just farm and get your items to kick into gear. Poke damage hasn't really been that strong in Season 6. We've been focused on an earlier kind of meta, more team fights, but that's changing a little bit now. Vel'Koz is a good mix between poke and a burst, which is why he works so well at the moment. He's kind of gone under the radar for a long time, but a good one to pick up and play if you want something reliable. From a balance perspective, he's very unlikely to ever get touched with nerfs or buffs. He's strong if you can do his combos properly, and a very good solo carry that can kind of reach these AD carries right at the back of the fight. I know a lot of you would have been expecting a Victor, a LeBlanc, a Zir. They would have been obvious choices, but they're still very good. But it's I'd rather talk about what's best for climbing, in my opinion. So the first spot is going to be back to Anivia. She also thrives in this slower meta, less random ganks, taking advantage, but also the mage mids, I guess, are the ones she actually wants to kill. She doesn't want to farm just like Vel'Koz as much. She wants to kill these picks and punish them. She's so versatile, it is ridiculous, but so easy as well. Her R&E combo is so straightforward again after the recent change, and she only needs a few items to be effective, and that is kind of the big thing. So if you get behind, then you only need a few items to still be relevant, which is kind of easy to achieve. But if you get ahead, you get those items sooner, you do insane damage. Literally, you are just way too good. I think she does too much damage. She's wave clear to stall out the game, utility with slows and your wall to zone, and fits into any team comp. You have to be a little bit patient, I think, but you have everything you could want in a mid laner. So moving on to the one to watch out for, I'm going to be looking at Kennen this patch. This little guy has made a comeback recently, but again, just like Anivia, he wants the meta slow down so he can spank the passive picks. You've got this huge AoE ultimate, which is now also better 1v1. You have good poke, mobility, and a burst damage, kind of a complete package, really. It's not uncommon to one-shot someone, to be honest. It's just very hard to deal with, especially at lower ranks. Ideally, right, the way to actually beat a Kennen is to kite back when he has his ult on. The problem with that is like you have flash, you have proto bell now, which make it easier, and that barely happens at diamond, let alone in gold or something. Like people just want to fight, they don't really kite back and then re-engage. Okay, so let's just round out our solo lanes and go to top for now. Gangplank will still be taking a number 2 spot, but top is one of the most diverse at the moment, I think. GP is like the tier above though because of how hard he can carry. Literally, you can stick a bad team on his back, and it's mostly because of his barrels. They poke from a very long range, you can triple barrel if you're good enough, and he doesn't actually need to fight. That's the big thing. He does damage before the engage actually happens to give you an advantage. You have your ultimate to get assists, you can turn fights around the map as well, and you actually have a decent lane phase, but no real pressure on you at all. You can even feed and you can still carry. I wouldn't really recommend going down that route, but you could do if you wanted to, and you can win though, which makes him kind of even scarier. Like you get your items even quicker. You're basically like an AD carry top lane, right? You need farm, you need items, but you will eventually carry. He is a hard champion though. He takes some practice, but right now, even at lower ranks, once you get the basics down, you'll crap on kids all day, every day. This is someone you can play all the way from gold to diamond easily, but just before someone does it and blames me, you can literally do nothing on this guy if you cock it up. So practice before you gamble with your LP. Now, a top spot is going to be Irelia though still. Despite having one of the highest ban rates and play rates, she still has a good win rate, and that is really like the mark of a solid champion. It's not just Irelia though. There's no like better nerf Irelia memes because it's kind of Triforce. Like while Triforce exists like this and is so strong, Irelia is going to be overpowered. Your matchups are okay, but it's more like the ability to outplay. I think your stun lasts so long, a lot of unexpected burst damage and sustain. It's literally like you have everything. Like you have the utility to stun people, you can sustain to stay in lane and farm, and you have damage to kill people. Like what more would you really actually want from a top laner? Another thing is you can build to fit the team. Like if you need more damage, you can build more damage. You can build tanky to absorb damage as well, but while being a massive threat. But remember, in this video we're talking about carrying ranked games. Irelia is so consistent and so reliable in every single game. You pick her every game, and unlike other champs, you'll always stand a good chance of winning. Now my other pick to talk about is going to be Pantheon because he's just so overpowered. I'm just kidding, by the way. You guys will think I'm in love with him. Pantheon's good, but Kayle is my one to watch. As the meta slows down a little bit, as more tanks kind of come in and our matchups get better, she'll come back and be super strong. She probably won't get mainstream popular because she never does. Let's be honest, she's never that popular, but she's still a strong pick right now for climbing and will only get better moving into the next patch as well. Okay, so let's jump into the bot lane real quick to round out this video, and I actually just did a top 5 video for AD carries, and I still think that's correct, but I can't decide between a first and second place, so I'm going to put them joint first. So Jinx is an amazing carry pick right now, probably the highest damage output of any AD and a typical kind of carry type. The problem is mainly the new junglers like Rammus and Sejuani especially are so annoying for her to deal with. She has no mobility and it's really punished by them. The good stuff is she has zero pressure on her, like a lot of Gangplank actually. You get a lead, it's great, you do damage earlier, but you go even, it's still going to be fine because you'll do damage and carry. One of the biggest differences is she's actually effective at one item, which is so rare for a crit build. It's like the biggest difference between other crit ADs. Normally you need an Infinity Edge and crit chance item to make it worth together, like they kind of play off each other, right? But Jinx gets value from her rockets, which is enough to make just Runans or Infinity Edge work on their own. So Jinx is still amazing, right? And can easily be first or second. I honestly think they're about equal right now, but Ashe is the queen of utility and damage, and she can kite these annoying junglers, which Jinx can't really do. If you think about it, if Rammus ganks, right, you have the arrow to kind of stop him, you have the slow and run away. She can also burn through him with a ranger's focus, her Q, which makes things a lot easier. You have the range, you have the slow arrow damage, like all of these things are a bit too strong together, and something eventually I think will get nerfed. Being 100% honest, even as an AD carry main, I am surprised she hasn't been nerfed yet with how good she's been consistently. When you output as much damage as she does with her Q on, why ever pick another AD carry when you can get an arrow and a built-in slow for free on top? I don't think really there's an answer, and that's why she's so strong. Okay, so Vayne is actually the one I want to talk about after these two, and I know I'm going to get a like I hate you 5 comments encouraging more Vayne players, but I think she might come back a bit more. We all know she's amazing versus tanks, right? And especially Rammus as well. You stealth tumble juke Rammus, you can ping him away with condemn so he can't taunt you. You have the damage to get through him with silver bolts, and the Blade the Ruin King lifesteal build to sustain through Thornmail. Whenever Rammus comes back into the meta, you can kind of expect Vayne to follow soon after because she is just so good against him. So last up is support. Sorry support mains, I do love you, trust me, but it had to be done this time around. So firstly, Sona got hotfixed today, reducing her heal move speed, which I actually think is hilarious. Like champions never get hotfixed on this right are like, crap, we messed up big time. I guess though, a 58% win rate is pretty messed up, but still, Sona is fine after the changes, but she'll be getting some more, I'm pretty sure, so we're probably going to avoid destroyed her for this time. So my second pick is going to be Janna if we're ignoring Sona for now. Really good defensive support, basically the best at keeping people alive in team fights. She is so irritating to play against, like anti-aggression, but very effective, especially against all of this damage we have flying around in this kind of meta. Ardent Sensor, Crucible is stupid on her, like the heal from her ult is so overpowered. People don't realize, but it can be like over a 700 heal, probably more rank 3 to everyone around her. That is busted. I'm just going to say this, okay, as an AD carry main, you have to learn to play it properly and do stuff. Sitting behind the AD and shielding is not the right way to play Janna and is going to tilt me. The biggest problem you actually have is going to be with Soraka though. That matchup is no fun at all, and well, she is going to be my number one. Not counting Sona, she is probably the best defensive heal support you can have at the moment. You have way too much sustain, poke as well, anti-fun, anti-aggression is literally like your parents coming home to a party and kicking all your friends out. I don't know if that really worked, but anyway, so silence is pretty strong too, would stop a Rammus from taunting, for example. There are a ton of things you can do to make that an amazing spell. Like, it's so busted when used properly. The new items just made her stronger, I think. New AD carries that need more protection also made her more useful, and the combination of everything like falling exactly into place. So my support to look out for this patch is going to be Sion as a kind of answer to these others. Leona is good as well. Sion just does the same thing, but probably a bit harder to avoid the engage. Sion can literally just press R and run straight out of Soraka, and she can't do anything. You change some crowd control, lasts forever, and dish out some good damage as well. The way to beat defensive supports like this is to engage and fight, but that's not very easy, I don't think. Sion at least does a decent job of it, so while I doubt he'll get super popular, he's an option to try out if you want a kill lane to be more aggressive. So that wraps up this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember to check out Pawn Win, comment for the pay safe card, and for now I'll leave you with the robots.